Hello there! My name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're having a look at a rather intelligent man. He's a clever conductor, not a fat controller like many of us are. Toluz, clever conductor. 3 mana for a 3/1 human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. So draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard an online card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So potentially a 4/2, by God. Well, it's a nice bit of card filtering there. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. When it dies, put those cards exiled with it into its owner's hand. So constantly getting those cards back, reusing them, really good to see. And, you know, I've recently changed the name of this channel to Hido MTG, but it used to be Cycling MTG. Bit of a spoiler for what might be coming up there. But a really cool card, and it's an interesting build around because we want to be sacrificing our commander to get the value and get the cards back. So if you like these sort of videos, please do consider subscribing. Come and join me on the journey through them all. We're going to be here for quite a while, but I'll do it eventually. So without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5. And in at number 5, we've got Mirror Shell Crab, and things that we want to discard to get some kind of effect. And Channel is a recent ability that really cares about that. So 7 mana for a 5/7 Crab. Ooh, he's an artifact as well. If you see on his pincers, he's got some nice metallic sort of adornments. Ward 3, so whenever this creature becomes a target with spell or ability, counter that ability or spell unless its controller pays an additional 3. Very good. Then we can channel it, so for 3 mana and discard it from our hand, counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. So with our commander on the field, we can discard this to counter something, then it's going to go into exile, and when our commander dies, we get this back to counter something else, potentially just constantly looping this around. Awesome card, really good. Then we got Otawara, Soaring City, legendary land that taps for a blue. Channel it for 4 mana and discard it. So there you go, it's a land that we're going to get back and possibly have another effect. And the great thing about these cards is they're lands, so you can just play them early game, playing commander, who cares? You know, if it's legendary, it doesn't matter. And the ability is return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. Guess what? Our commander's a legendary creature. Ho ho! Already reducing it by 1. Then we've got Takanuma, Abandoned Maya, another legendary land that taps for a black this time. 4 mana and discard it for the channel. Mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. So there we go, really good. We're very much going down a creature sort of based deck. But this is great because we can return something that maybe died on the battlefield, then maybe discard it or cycle it possibly. Spoilers for what's coming up. But this is a wonderful card that just fits so well. Rebuying a creature, you'd be shocked at how good that is, especially these creatures that have an ability like Ghostlit Warder. 2 mana for a 1/1 spirit. We can tap it and pay 4 to counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Ooh. And then we can pay 4 and discard it, counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. So it's just another copy of the Crab, except it's a 2 mana 1/1 that has an activated ability that we can use over and over again. It's really cool. I love these sorts of cards. They just sit on the field and, you know, make our opponents play around them, or we can really catch them out by that 4 mana counter spell. Is it very good? Well, no, but it's, you know, decent, you know, and it fits so well with this deck, so I'd definitely consider playing all of these cards. Which brings me on to number 4, and the best mechanic ever printed in Magic, in, you know, my orange opinion. It is the cycling ability. Oh, I love it so much. It's just so good. Cycling is an ability from your hand. You can pay a mana or potentially nothing and discard this card, draw a card. So we're discarding the card, so it's going to go to exile, and then when our commander dies, we get them all back and we can continue to filter through the deck. It just works brilliantly. Architect's Will is my first choice. 4 mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, then put them back in any order. Very nice. Nice little ability. Really can mess with your opponents. You know, you can play some mind games and stuff like that. Sorry. But the cycling is where it's at for me. Such a good ability. And just either a black or a blue to do it. Wonderful. Then we got Razaketh's Right. 5 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Very poor rate. Not going to lie to you. But occasionally you do need to just search up that game-winning card, and we do have some combos in this deck. But cycling for a single black. So we get to draw a different card, you know, if we don't want to pay 5 mana, and then we can get this back when our commander dies. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Really want to focus on those cheap cyclers. But then we've got the Archfiend of Ifnir. 5 mana for a 5/4 flying demon. Whenever you cycle, yes, or discard another card, which, you know, cycling does. They could have just said discard, but getting cycle on there really helps me. Put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control. So with this discard theme, this is a board wipe. Every single turn, whenever we're cycling cards, whenever we're discarding cards to connive or whatever, this is wonderful. And it itself has cycling for 2 mana. So if you don't want to play a massive threat that can really control the board, because often you don't want to, you can just cycle it away. So brilliant card. Then we got the Curator of Mysteries. 4 mana for a 4/4, cycling for a blue. Whew, god damn. And whenever you cycle or discard another card, scry 1. You'd be shocked at how good that is to dig through your deck. You draw a card, scry a card, draw a card, scry a card. Just keep going and going and going, and eventually you'll get to the cards you want. Great stuff. Then we got the Street Wraith, one of the best cyclers, if not the best cycler in the entire game. 5 mana, 3/4 Swamp Walk. Cycling, pay 2 life. Who cares? 2 life is literally nothing in this game of Commander. Just get rid of it. Such a good card. So many fond memories. Then we got Cast Out, 4 mana for a cycling 1. Flash, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Cast Out leaves the battlefield. Wonderful bit of removal. Yes, it can get disenchanted and they get the thing back, but it's just so good. Having Flash is actually incredible. You can, interrupt a combo in the middle of it, or, if you're not bothered about what's going on in the field, cycle it away. Then sacrifice our commander, get it back, then cast it. Just so much value to be had in this deck. Then we got the Boon of the Wished Giver. 6 mana, draw 4 cards. Not great, but it's a sorcery. But you can cycle it for 1 generic. And remember, cycling can be done at any time. It's an instant speed ability, so yes, just so good. So I definitely include some cycling cards in this deck. Archfiend of Ifnir, phenomenal card, which takes me on to number 3. At number 3, we've got Yawgmoth, Thran Physician. So I've talked a lot about sacrificing our commander because we want to get all those cards back that we put into exile, and Yawgmoth is one of the best, if not the best, sacrifice outlet going at the moment. 4 mana, 2/4 for a human cleric. Protection from humans. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. So not only we get to sacrifice our commander, we're going to probably kill something, maybe a Llanowar Elves or something, but at least it's something, and we get to draw a card. Then the second ability works phenomenally in this deck as well. Double black, discard a card. Does our commander like that? Yes. The answer is yes. Then we proliferate. So we choose any number of permanents and players, and each give them as many, one counter of as many counters as they have. There you go. So this is really good if we're going down a Planeswalker route or something like that. But it's a sacrifice outlet that plays into the discard theme. Incredible. So good. Then Village Rites is another one that it's a one-shot, but I really like in the deck. Single black for an instant. There's an additional cost to cast a spell. Sacrifice a creature. Draw 2 cards. So we're going to get our commander dead. Our commander will be deadified. And then we are going to get all the cards exiled under it. And also draw 2 additional cards. It's pretty good if you ask me. Very cool. Nice one-shot effect. Then we got a Yara, First of Locthwain. 3 mana. It is triple black though, so a bit tricky in this sort of deck. But play Urborg, things like that, you should be able to cast it. It's an elf noble, and whenever it or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Nice little effect there. Our commander happens to be black, so we're going to be pinging away there. And we can tap and sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. So again, card advantage. Nice little effect. You might want to go for an aristocrat style deck built around this cycling theme, and this would work really well. There's quite a lot of cards that make tokens when you cycle or discard a card, so that is a distinct possibility. Cool, cool, cool. And then we've got Read the Runes to finish off this sack outlet. 1 blue, an X, for an instant, draw X cards. For each card drawn this way, discard a card, unless you sacrifice a permanent. This works in every aspect for this commander. So we can, sacrifice our commander, sacrifice maybe a couple of other things, or we could discard a bunch of things, put them into exile under our commander, and then sacrifice a commander to something else. So it's so much value that works wonderfully in the deck. Great, great stuff. There you go. Sacrifice our commander. He's led us into battle, but he needs to die. Then we've got at number 2, I talked about a couple of combos, and Decree of Silence. Not only does it have cycling, but it's a combo machine. Such an amazing card. 8 mana for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, counter that spell, and put a depletion counter on Decree of Silence. If there are 3 or more depletion counters on Decree of Silence, sacrifice it. So the next 3 spells our opponents cast are going to be countered, but there's more. We can cycle this for 6 mana, and when you cycle it, counter target spell. Ooh, that's quite good. We get to draw a card and counter a spell. Yes, 6 mana is a lot, but it's doable. But if we've got that on the field and Solemnity, 3 mana for enchantment, players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Well, let's have a look at Decree of Silence again. This gets counters, depletion counters, every time it counters a spell. So, with Solemnity on the field, it tries to put a counter on it, but Solemnity goes, nah, mate, stop right there. So, it doesn't have a counter on it. That means when our opponents cast their next spell, it's not going to get a counter, and this will never sacrifice itself. Decree of Silence will just stay on the field. Amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. If you don't win from there, something's gone horrendously wrong, because you're the only person that can cast spells. Fantastic card. Really, really good. And then if we're talking about big enchantments, because I'd play a sub-theme of big enchantment cheat outs in this deck, Omniscience is one of the best to cheat out, especially because we're playing all these cycling cards which cost so much mana, but we want to cycle them away. So Omniscience allows us to cast those big cards for nothing. 10 mana for an enchantment. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. That's pretty fantastic if you ask me. Then, if we're talking about enchantments, New Perspectives is incredible with Aura of Silence as well. 6 mana for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. I'll take 3 cards any day of the week. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you may pay 0 rather than pay cycling costs. So, Decree of Silence was 6 mana to counter a spell and, cycle it. Now, it's 0 mana. So, it's 0 mana, draw a card, counter a spell. And, all the rest of our cards are just discard for free, draw a card. We're not having to pay mana. And then, if we're playing all these big enchantments, let's play ways to cheat them into play. Academy Rector being one of the best. And look at those nice spectacles she's holding. Lovely. 4 mana for an 1/2. When it is put into the graveyard from play, you may remove it from the game. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card, put the card into play, and then shuffle your library. So you can get Omniscience straight into play, or Aura of Silence, maybe Solemnity to finish off the combo. Or if you just want to go cycling crazy, New Perspectives is the way to go. Then we've got the Noble Benefactor, 3 mana. Look, another wonderful man with spectacles. 2/2, Summon Cleric. If Noble Benefactor is put into any graveyard from play, each player may search his or her library for any 1 card and put the card into his or her hand. Each player who searches his or her library shuffles it afterwards. So if you're going for the Decree of Silence Solemnity combo and you've got one of the pieces on the field or something, this can search up the other half. And then, if you manage to land it, and your opponents didn't just search up counter spells or something like that, we are going to be able to lock our opponents out. And it doesn't matter what they search for, because guess what? You can't cast any spells. Lol. Really, really good. And then an epic card for us here. 7 mana, Enduring Ideal Sorcery. Search your library for an enchantment card, put it onto play. Then shuffle your library. Epic! So for the rest of the game, you can't cast spells. Oh dear. At the beginning of each upkeep, copy the spell, except for its epic ability. So you just, every single upkeep, the only thing you can do is get an enchantment. So if you built your deck well enough, you'll be okay, but you might not be. But really, really cool card to search up. And it's a cool story moment for your game. And that's what Commander's all about, in my opinion. So there you go, play an enchantment sub-theme, which takes me on to number 1. And at number 1, it's another sub-theme that I'd go down. And it's another cycling-based monstrosity. It's Vedalken Aether Mage. 2 mana, 1/2, flash. When it comes into play, return target sliver to its owner's hand. You'd be surprised that that actually does come up. You know, I've bounced a couple of slivers in my time, and I've felt really good about it. And it has wizard cycling, which is the main sub-theme that I'm talking about here. It's not sliver hate, although everyone should hate slivers. So wizard cycling, you pay 3 and discard this. Search your library for a wizard card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. That's awesome. It's a weird little tutor, but there are so many good wizards in Magic. Bone Miser being one of them that's incredible in this deck. 5 mana, 4/4. Whenever you discard a card, me, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever you discard a land card, add double black. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card. Now, is the theme of this deck discarding cards? I think it is, and by God, if this doesn't work incredibly with cycling. It's just so good. Phenomenal card. And it's a wizard. Champion of Wits is another discard sort of card that is a wizard. 3 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. Yes! Eternalize for 7 mana, so it becomes a 4/4 black zombie. So you're going to draw 4, discard 2. Amazing. Amazing. 2 hits on the bong of discard. And then we've got Oscar, Rubbish Reclaimer. 5 mana, 3/3 human wizard. Yes. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each different mana value among cards in your graveyard. Should be pretty easy to get that because we're discarding so many different cards. So this is just going to be a blue and a black to cast. Whenever you discard an online card, you may cast it from your graveyard. Does sort of conflict with our commander's sort of wants, but our commander will die. You know, part of this deck is killing our own commander. So this can take over and then we can recast them, stuff like that. So, a good card to have in the deck. Then we got the Lazotep Chancellor. 2 mana for a 1/3. Whenever you discard a card, you may pay 1 generic. If you do, amass 2. So we get an army token, put 2 counters on it. And then if we already have an army, we just build up the army and so on and so forth. Really cool card, and it commits nicely to a board state. So I'd sort of think about this card as we're sacrificing a lot of things. We could use these army tokens for sacrifice fodder. So well worth considering. Or, if you know you're on the back foot, nice chump blockers. Cool card to see. Then we got the Inspired Sprite. Sprite's a delicious drink. Try it. 4 mana, if Coca-Cola would like to sponsor me, please do. 4 mana, 2/2 with flash and flying, and it's a wizard. Whenever you play a wizard spell, you may untap Inspired Sprite. And Sprite, delicious. And you can tap it to draw a card and then discard a card. So it fits into the theme, fits into the wizard theme, it's got flash, it just works in every conceivable way. And the artwork's really nice as well. And to finish off, we've got Champion of Wits again. That's twice I've done that now. I don't know why I'm doubling up on cards. But there you go. A lovely selection. Oh, I know what this can be. This represents the token that Chancellor of Wits makes, except it's not the token. But really cool selection, and I'd go down this. I love a little sub-theme in a deck. It makes the deck feel more individual and plays really well. So thank you for watching this. Hopefully this has helped you. You've got some ideas from this. And if you have, please subscribe and join me, and I'll try and give you some more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.